You don't want to miss this episode. We're going to give our July update. What's going on in the industry? What's going on in Bitcoin, stock market, real estate? Got some exciting news on Control and Compound as well. Hi, everyone. Welcome to Control and Compound. I'm Darren Mitchell, and joining me is Christina Wyatt, wealth coach extraordinaire. Christina, how are you today?
Hey Darren, I'm doing great. I can't believe we are doing our July update and summer is here. Kids are out of school. The weather should be nice. It's not quite here yet. We got a lot of rain, but excited that it's July and we're doing our July update. How are you doing?
I'm doing great. I'm very excited. I'm a little disappointed that I'm not a professional golfer because I learned this lesson from my brother. In the winter, I tend to be a really good golfer when I just think about how good I'm going to be next summer, and then the implementation lacks a little. So still going to stick to this business. I'm not turning pro yet, but we get a lot of stuff going on. Where do you want to start?
Yeah, I think we start with our regular. Oh, wait. First, I want to start by thanking all of our followers and those that subscribe. I know I'm always talking about, hitting the like button and following us for that new content. So I appreciate everybody out there subscribing. It does mean a lot to us. So thank you for that. If you haven't already, please take a quick second of your day and go in there and hit the like and subscribe button. Follow us on your favorite podcast platform. We really do appreciate it.
All right, so let's get into some updates. So interest rates is something we've been closely following, like all Canadians or North Americans in the past year. What's the latest on interest rates? They back down to 2% yet?
Yeah, not quite, unfortunately. And I think it might have been a surprise for some, not so much for others. But back on June 7th, we had that announcement where they upped it 25 points. So Bank of Canada up to 4.75, bringing prime rate to 6.95%. I think people are starting to feel that, right? Like they're feeling those interest rates rise and it's due for, inflation and all those other things. We've actually got another update coming out on July 12th. So not far from now when the Bank of Canada is going to come out and it's going to, let us know if they're increasing or not. Listening and, reading it, a lot of people are thinking that we might see it go up to 5. Like inflation's down. I looked it up, in May, inflation was at 3.4%. So that seems down, right? Compared to what we saw last year. But a lot of that is taken into account the gas prices. So last year, this time, remember at the pumps, it was crazy. Gas was up everywhere. It's down this year for now. We'll talk about that in a minute. It's down this year. When they ran these reports, it was down. And if they took out the gas, actually, it'd be 4.4%. So consumers are still out there spending. Interest rates are going up. I don't think they feel like they've got inflation under control just yet. So we could end up seeing another announcement July 12th. But we've got the other, with the gas price side of things, we've got that carbon tax, the second carbon tax coming out on July 1st, which I think could change things as well.
Yeah, well, first of all, I think it's fake that inflation is getting better. If you've been to a grocery store in the past month or two, it's absolutely crazy how expensive things are. So I think they really manipulate that CPI number. We've talked about that before in the basket of goods and the way they substitute it. So true inflation, I think, is just much, much higher. So we get 1 month that kind of looks good, but I think that's just a fake number. You talk to people on the street, there's no way inflation is going down in the past month. Everything is continuing to go up, And yeah, do you want to talk about it? Let's get into this carbon tax because now, welcome to July. Welcome to, depending upon what province you're in, a massive increase in your cost of gas. So in Nova Scotia, we're going to see, I think, 17 or 18 cents per liter. That's per liter. Now, it's not only what you use, and yeah, there's some rebates, but you're not getting it all back. It's not just what you use, but everything in your grocery store. How did you get there? You get there by a truck. Okay, a truck delivered everything. Everything that thing you can think of is using fossil fuels to get delivered to your home. So all of those costs are going to be passed on. Everything in the grocery store comes by rail or comes by truck. All that cost is going to be passed on to consumers. So I think inflation is just going to continue or bounce back this month and next. There's just no way you can increase taxes that significantly without all those suppliers in grocery stores passing along that tax. So I think inflation's not close to being over, and this carbon tax is certainly not going to help.
No, and when you think of the average Canadian family, if they've got variable mortgages, well, what about their household? Like inflation in that home is up astronomically, and you think of those that were in those fixed rates, they're starting to come up for renewal, right? So they're going in and they're getting 5-6% fixed rates instead of the two that they were used to over these last 5 years. That's going to hit home for a lot of Canadians too.
Yeah. Okay, and then there's a couple glimmers of positive news. The Canadian stock market, the S&P TSX, up 2.4%, give or take, year to date. The U.S. S&P 500 actually up 14. Now again, I think that's not fake, but it depends what day this comes out, what it actually is, because a lot of people still really concerned about those increasing interest rates, increasing inflation, that we're going to see a massive market correction. So, if your money's there for the next 40 years, maybe it'll be okay. But if you're looking to use that money in the next 6 months, I think that's a little speculative, and you could see a big drop on that. And then the other big news that's up, Christina. I don't know if it was just because I went to the Canadian Bitcoin conference or if there were other factors, but Bitcoin is up 85% year to date. So Bitcoin's 30,800, give or take, in that ballpark of 30,000. Now again, let's put it in perspective. A year and a half ago, it was 65,000, right? So it's still down significantly, but from that 15, 16, 17, whatever it was at the beginning of the year, we have seen a huge spike in that. So Bitcoin, if you're a Bitcoin holder, up 85% year to date, depending on what day you listen to this. So that's some positive news, Christina. What else is going on out there?
Yeah, so when you talk about the markets, positive for sure. I do know though that a lot of people are still holding on to quite a bit of cash. They're, a little bit uneasy about how it's been over the last year. So again, on a positive note, we are seeing in some guaranteed interest accounts those rates going up. So I got an email in the other day that Manulife is offering 5% on guaranteed, like just high interest savings accounts, 5%. Like that's a lot. And that one I think is a promotional amount, but I know Industrial Alliance has one that's for almost 4.5% that they're giving on high interest savings account. Like a few years ago, I think you're getting 0.009, right? Like that's a pretty big jump in the high interest savings account side of things. So if you do have one of those, just you have one, if you're sitting on cash, definitely take a look at what you're earning, because they're getting competitive out there, right? Like they're offering some pretty high rates on your cash accounts.
Yeah. And just keep in mind that that's considered interest income. So depending on your
Oh
tax
yes,
bracket, you
yes,
could
yes.
lose, roughly half of that in
Well, yeah, your
tax.
cash should be in an infinite banking policy, obviously, but
Well, clearly,
obviously.
clearly. Is there any other option? Uh, all right, and then housing market, really mixed bag on housing market. Depends where you live, and I'll give you the per province, but even per province, it really doesn't necessarily reflect your town, your community. But annual price change over the last year now, we've got BC up 3%, Ontario down 1, Quebec down 3, Alberta up 3, Nova Scotia up 1, PEI down 7, Manitoba down 8, Saskatchewan is flat, New Brunswick -2, and Newfoundland and Labrador -8. But again, that's really doesn't tell necessarily the whole story. You look in Ontario, depends where you live. GTA's down about 1% from a year ago. Hamilton's down about 10% though, right? And Brampton's down 3%. So some of those areas that really had the huge run up, those are the ones you typically see the pullback. But Christina, we talk to real estate investor, real estate agents, real estate industry people every single day, and there's really positive, especially in the Ontario region, a lot of talk about massive increases in activity, stuff going on, people interested. So, it's we'll see if that interest and then the increasing interest rates, if one offsets the other. But still some people real positive on the forecast for real estate in pockets of Canada. But not huge swings either one way or the other on the real estate news.
Yeah, when you look at it, like everybody needs somewhere to live, and we have more and more people coming to Canada every day. So it's one of those places that I don't think can like there's just too big of a need. There's too big of a need, and we don't have enough. So that demand there is going to keep that. I myself think it's going to keep that market going, but. Yes. So housing market update. How about our industry update? So I know we've been doing announcements as they've come out. We had our the four big companies that we work with from the Dividend have now officially announced their dividend scales for next year. So we've got the news on all of them. So Manulife just came out with theirs. They were the last one to announce for our four. And they have moved from 6.1 to 6.35. So that was exciting news to hear an up. And just a recap of the others, they're all up. Canada Life moved up to 5.5, Equitable's at 6.25, and Sun Life's at 6.25 as well. All increases, which is exciting to see. I love seeing increases, right? So good news there.
Thanks for listening so far. If you're watching on YouTube, make sure you like, subscribe, and hit that bell button so you always know when new content is coming out. If you're listening on your favorite podcast platform, please leave a 5-star rating and leave a review and subscribe. And if you are interested in learning more, please visit our website at controlandcompound.com to sign up for a free education session with one of our wealth coaches.
Yeah, an amazing time to jump on whole life, to start an infinite banking policy. And if we look at sort of the what's going on in the industry now, we have first quarter results from the industry of 2023, and in Canada, the annualized premium in millions. There were $452 million put into life insurance as far as premiums go in the first quarter. And if you break that down, of the 452, over 300,000 of the 452, 300 of the 452 was whole life. So the majority of the premium in Canada, when it goes into insurance, is going into whole life. That's where the smart money's going. If we look at first quarter of 2023, that's up 5% from last year, but whole life premium is up 15% from last year. So overall premiums are up, but the percentage going into whole life is increasing. Again, just it is a wonderful time to get into whole life. But I just thought interesting, right? Because people think, well, everyone has term. Everyone talks about term. Whole life is like 300 of the 450 of premium. Well, remember, that's premium, right? Because a lot of people are using this for the cash value and not just the death benefit. But if we look at death benefit, or face amount, we call it in the industry, in the first quarter, 67% of the face amount of total death benefit was term insurance. So again, term insurance is still hugely important in the right circumstances, and there's a huge need for it, and it does protect that death, right? You don't get any cash value, you don't get any other bells and whistles you do with the whole life policy, but it's super important, especially for those families that need to cover expenses, mortgages, loans, and income replacement is the big one. So 67% of the face amount is term, but 300 of the 450 is premium, goes into whole life, and typically that's where the real estate investors, the business owners, the wealthy people are putting a good portion of their portfolio on that.
Yeah, answers the question, why isn't everybody doing it? Well, there's
Well,
lots of people doing it.
And now we're going to jump into control and compound. What's going on at control and compound, Christina? We got all kinds of things on the go. What's the latest?
One of the most exciting things that happened this month is we did start our Facebook community. So, Infinite Banking for Real Estate Investors and Business Owners on Facebook. If you haven't already joined, make sure you go to, go on Facebook, join. We've had a lot of people contributing, which is so exciting to hear because the whole goal of this community is really linking you guys, right? So, linking the Infinite Bankers with other Infinite Bankers to learn about what they're doing with real estate investing and with their businesses. So definitely encourage everybody, if you haven't already, to get on there and do that and throw up your questions, right? Don't just join, start engaging, because that is the goal here we want to learn from others, and this is going to be a great platform to be able to do that.
Yeah, and Christina and I and the other wealth coaches were on there on a regular basis, answering questions, posting some unique content. We went live the other day, always a little nerve wracking, but, no one swore or, threw up or anything. So it all worked out well. And then Christina, just a little update for you. We've kind of been talking through the last year about your Airbnb, and it's getting just about ready. What's the latest on your Airbnb property that you and your partner built?
So close, Darren. Who would have known? Who would have known that landscaping took as much work as it does? Like, oh, maybe next. I learned a lot on this build. Like, definitely learned a lot. Maybe a smaller lot next time, really, when it comes to this landscaping stuff. But we are really on the home stretch right now. So just finishing up some final touches on the landscaping. Sod's gone in, and it hasn't been easy here in Nova Scotia to get landscaping done as well. Our weather hasn't been cooperating as much as we want it to, but we've got the landscaping getting finished up. Then we're going to get the pictures done. I was hoping to have it on for the summer, but I did a lot of research on when you get onto Airbnb, making sure that you can get that superhost status and stuff, and going before it's completely ready. I know some people were like, oh, why don't you just put it on and make it a discount because the landscaping's not completely done. Well, I did a lot of research, and it's important, that superhost status, and making sure that your ad comes to the top. It's something that you've got to be aware of, and the different, algorithms and stuff that come with it. So we've held off. We didn't put it on there. We're going to wait until it's absolutely perfect, which is hard for me because I'm a perfectionist in some ways, but we're going to wait until it's completely ready to go. And I'm hoping like August 1st, we should have everything up and on Airbnb. So exciting, but lots of work put into it. There's a lot of work because we had the build and then we did the Airbnb as well. I don't think I'd do both next time. I think I'd just do one or the other. It was kind of a lot to take on in one go.
Yes, that was a lot for Jordan to take on.
Yeah. True.
Poor Jordan. Jordan, how you doing if you're listening? Excellent. That's very cool.
Yeah. So, and I know you sent me over some information on one of your latest deals as well. I think people would be interested to hear about what you're doing too.
Yeah, I mean, so real estate investing. I like being kind of a hands-off, passive guy, and I bought 8% of a 39-unit apartment building, and the plan was great. You put money in, and then the goal was they were going to renovate it, do the BRRRR strategy, fix it up, increase the rents, do all those things. And then the goal was, it was an LPGP, so there's a general partner doing all the work, and as the limited partner, I just put money in. And then the goal was in 2 years, get 75 to 100%, depending upon how it went, of my money back, but still own 8%, right? So in a perfect world, it was, you throw your money in, 2 years later, you get your money back, but you still own 8%. And we actually got an update. We're ahead of schedule. That's right, Christina. A real estate project ahead of schedule on all the things they had to do to upgrade the property and increase the rents. Ahead of schedule on when they're going to reimburse investors. Okay, just basically take a higher mortgage and give us that money back. So they're looking at 6 months earlier than planned, advancing 75% of the money people invested back, and then the remaining, hopefully in the next year, is the plan. So really cool strategy. It's the first time I did one of those. For me, it was appealing because from a tax perspective, if you put 100 grand in and you get 100 grand back in 2 years later, well, that 100 grand back is just, it's return of your own capital. So you're not paying any interest on that. And then you still have an equity ownership, right? So I like that equity ownership. I like the private lend too, but this equity ownership, effectively, and again, of course, I didn't actually use my own money. I borrowed from the insurance company and I just paid a little bit of interest and I wrote that interest off. So really, it may have cost me, $3,000 per 100 grand invested to put the money in, and then I get the money back. I pay off the policy loan. But the deal looks like it's going great. I had a schedule. So when that all happens in the fall, I'll do a little more detailed update. But it's not often in real estate you get the call going, well, about the timing of that, we're ahead of schedule. And it's like, what? Oh,
Awesome.
oh, no, my pre-construction condo, they're going to give me probably the fifth or sixth new updated data when that's completed. So not everything's ahead of schedule, trust me. But this one pleasant surprise was awesome. And so that's kind of cool. And then, Christina, we had some really cool podcasts the last month. Who did we have on last month? That was because we had some really good feedback.
Yeah, we had some great guests last month on our podcast. So if you have not listened to these, you're going to want to go back. So we had Jeff Reeves, our money guy, and he was talking about, holistic financial planning, looking at everything as a big picture, looking at your money side of things. So definitely go back and check that one out. We also had just recently, we had Jacob Perez on, and he was talking, he's from Synergy Mortgage Group, and he was talking about the MLI Select mortgage product for scaling your real estate, getting into multi-unit. So super wealth of knowledge there as well. So great guests. If you want to learn more about those two sides of things, you're going to want to check those out. We also had a podcast on the importance of beneficiaries. So, not as snazzy, but very important information, I promise. And then we did a book review on Who Not How. And I really enjoyed that one. It was great to share some of the knowledge that, I learned in reading that book with the listeners. So if you haven't, if you haven't listened, it gives you a good snapshot of the book. And if you want to go out and pick up the book, because it has been life-changing for many of people, including myself.
Yeah, I absolutely love that book. And, I first heard about it through the Strategic Coaching Program. For those of you familiar with that, the Dan Sullivan Coaching Program. Really cool book. Encourage you to check that out and check the podcast out. And then we're pretty excited about July too. We've got some really nice episodes coming out. We've got Investor Mel and Dave. So Investor Mel and Dave, we're going to have a podcast with them this month. So if you're on social media and you're in real estate, you know who Investor Mel and Dave are. And on top of Mel and Dave, we're gonna have a podcast on the 4 companies we use and kind of why, and talk a little bit more about those 4 insurance companies. We always talk about the 4 we use. We're going to talk a little bit more about those. Pretty excited. We're going to start a Bitcoin series. So we're going to do a number of episodes on Bitcoin, and it's, we joked it's going to be Bitcoin for dummies by dummies, because we're not professing to be Bitcoin experts, but I've invested a lot of time, effort, and some money into learning Bitcoin and going through it. And we're going to really target it to people that, what is Bitcoin right from the start, is what is it? How did it come about? Why should I do it? We're not giving investment advice, but we're giving education, because we think everyone should learn about Bitcoin, should learn about AI, should learn about some of these things. And then the next one coming up in July actually came from listeners, right? And we get questions from listeners, and we say, hey, that's a great idea. Why don't we make a podcast on that? And that's HELOC, your home equity line of credit, versus a policy loan for real estate investing. Which should I use? What's better? And we're going to give you not just an overview of that, but we're going to tell you what Darren and Christina do. So we're excited for those 4 podcasts coming up this month. And that's kind of what I have, Christina. We have anything else I forgot?
No, I think we've covered it all for this month anyways.
Awesome. All right, there's your July update. Thanks for watching. Thanks for listening.
Thanks for listening to this podcast. If you're listening on YouTube, please like, subscribe, and hit that bell button. If you're listening on your favorite podcast platform, please leave us a 5-star review and subscribe. And if you want more information, check out our website, controlandcompound.com, and you can sign up for an education session with one of our wealth coaches.